And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Very happy to have back on the show Stevie Van Zandt. You know him as the Hall of Fame inducted guitarist from the E Street Band with Bruce Springsteen. Of course, Silvio, Dante in the Sopranos, star of Lilyhammer. He's an activist. He's a creator of 2 SiriusXM channels, which I want him to create the Dean Obeidallah channel on SiriusXM. We're going to talk about that later. And his book, Unrequited Infatuations, and memoir, a New York Times bestseller, and coming out soon in paperback. Stevie, great to see you, my friend.
How are you, Dino?
Doing pretty good. Hanging in there. I'm glad I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better than when we talked a few months ago about the prospects of the election and where we are. But I got to get your reaction. First of all, you did an ad for John Fetterman. Everyone likes John Fetterman. You did an ad about Dr. Oz. Nobody wants to see you get embarrassed, Dr. Oz. Come back to Jersey. How did you get involved in the Fetterman? Like, who did they reach out? Did you reach out to them? How did this happen? It's a great ad.
Yeah. No, I think Fetterman reached out to me. I wouldn't have thought of it, to tell you the truth. So I think, that John or somebody, I'm trying to remember now, reached out to me. I think it was John, maybe John himself, and just said, can you do a little something? We're kind of doing some shtick, with the whole Jersey connection. So I just really quick just did something, and man, got quite a reaction from it. I mean,
Snooki did one. Snooki, I wasn't sure if she was actually asked to do it or just paid on Cameo, but for you, obviously, it was part of the campaign. Look at Fetterman's using comedy. They did a campaign to get Dr. Oz nominated for the New Jersey Hall of Fame because Dr. Oz lived for 3 decades in Jersey, like in Cliffside Park over here in Bergen County, and then moves at the end of 2020 to run for Senate. Like, people are not going to notice. And then, did you see the ad last week that went viral? Oz had actually made it in April, but then Fetterman found it, where Dr. Oz is at the grocery store complaining about prices of vegetables because he wants to make a crudité. I'm like, a crudité? You're not even from Jersey, buddy. I don't know where you're from. A crudité? What are you, from president of the Hamptons? Is this like the country club? I mean, are you kidding me? Fetterman is crushing them.
It was crudité gate.
Yeah, crudité. In today's world, how do people think they're going to get away with? You don't live in the state. You just pick the state. You're going to move there as a multimillionaire, and he's so out of touch with Pennsylvania and New Jersey. He's really neither place. He's more of a Hamptons wealthy guy, it looks like.
Well, how do you get away with saying you have 2 houses when you have 10? And I mean, these things are easily checked. I just think he's used to, scamming people on his TV show, for various, whatever he was doing, I don't know what he was selling, but it was proven to be not so kosher,
It was crap.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to be thankful. Trump picked him. Trump picked some of these other losers now who are running. And Democrats, I mean, on some level, I want Trump to go away. I want Trump to be in prison. I mean, this is just ridiculous that he walks free. But he's picked some really bad people. Why do you think
I think Trump really is helping the cause at this point. And they told him don't declare before the November election because the Republicans know that he's poison at this point. So I hope he does declare just to piss everybody off. But he's been really a big help. He's picking the looniest Looney Tunes you can possibly imagine. And we can't get overconfident about it, but I just think there's so much material at this point. The DNC, the DCCC, the DSCC, the DGA, every Democratic campaign organization. I mean, if they can't sweep, if they can't win these elections with people saying they're going to end Medicare and Social Security, I mean, if you can't win with that, I'm sorry, these guys, they need to be replaced, to say the least.
I don't know where they're focus grouping that, like Rick Scott, the idea that let's make Medicare and Social Security, you have to re-up it every 5 years or it goes away. I'm like, where did you test this at the country club? I mean, who in what world would that be like a good selling point?
they're just saying out loud what they've always believed. I mean, the Republicans have always been, really represented in terms of their philosophy by, Rand Paul, who's, the most despicable of them all, really, in some ways. But he's, he's quite open about the fact that he does not intend to help anybody ever, and that's the Republican philosophy. You're on your own, okay? They don't believe in government. I'm like, so why are you in government then? But whatever, they literally, I mean, if you took the legislation that has been passed by the House, these last whatever, these last years, I mean, just putting, made a list of all of the things that would help people. I mean, if they go around, I mean, I don't understand why they don't win why the Democrats just don't win every single election. I don't get it. I mean, I'm endorsing Patrick Schmidt in Kansas for Congress.
Wow.
A great guy. And if he wins, it'll be 2-2. They got four Congress people. And he's a great guy. And I hope everybody can join me in supporting him among other people I'm supporting. But I was talking to him, and here's the root of the problem. There's 125 districts or so in Kansas. They're contesting, the Democrats are contesting for real about 40.
State legislative race.
That's the essence of the problem. And I guarantee you it's the same situation in every red state. The contesting may be a third of the contests. I mean, I'm like, what is the matter with you people? I mean, if there's never been a bigger opportunity than right now to sweep the nation, to get every single Republican voted out of office than right now. I mean, they range from insane to not giving a fuck, about anybody for anything, I mean, really, is that what we want America to be? Come on, it's ridiculous. And I blame the Democrats at this point. I can't blame the Republicans. It's like blaming, the scorpion and the frog story,
Right.
And I'm not going to blame bad people. Bad people are bad people. That's what they do. They do bad things, I blame the good people for enabling them by not putting them in jail and not, there's no law and order anymore. There's no sense of accountability. And this is why the people are upset. This is why, and the Democratic, even the administration don't understand this, They think, it's all about the inflation, which they stupidly took credit for, okay? The inflation was not Biden's fault. He had nothing to do with it. But there he is, mea culpa, it's my fault, the buck stops here. Joe, the oil companies are scamming everybody, obviously, which he should have brought up and he should have stopped. He could have stopped it, all right? There is nothing whatsoever to do with the war in Ukraine and gas prices going up, in New Jersey. I mean, it's insane. It's ridiculous. It's a scam, obviously, and they don't do anything about it. And I mean, if they passed the original anti-inflation, whatever they were calling it, Build Back Better, whatever they were calling it, that would have enormously helped the inflation problem in many ways. And even that was way too low, by the way. Bernie's original assessment of what was needed was much closer to reality, actually. Nobody ever did a line item on this thing. It was like, oh, whatever it was, 2 trillion, 3 trillion, that sounds like a lot of money. Yeah, no shit, that sounds like a lot of money. But is it? When you look at the line items and look at what's been ignored for 50 years in terms of our infrastructure? It turns out it was not a lot of money, and we needed more, like what Bernie was saying, was like 6 trillion, whatever it was.
Yeah,
that was actually a more accurate number. And I just at this point, I'm just like, Joe, people are not upset with you because of the inflation, even though you stupidly took credit for it, Americans like strength. This is what the administration and all of the advisors are missing. They don't get it. Americans like strength first. And even if it's phony strength like Trump, or phony strength like little Mussolini in Florida, DeSantis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as long as you look strong and are, have, and are acting strong. And in those cases, of course, they do all the wrong things, but that's what then people start to feel better and feel more secure, and that's been the problem. That's been the problem. Why Joe's, approval ratings have been so low. It's not about necessarily just about the economy. Of course, that's a little part of it, but it's about the fact that they're so weak. All right, you got Barney Fife as AG, okay, and he's looking for his bullet. I mean, this guy they're not arresting anybody. And that's our problem. By the way, it's filtered all the way down now to the local level. Okay, we got 7-Eleven right around the corner from me just got raided the other day by a bunch of hooligans and cleaned it out.
Wow.
Somebody got held up by gunpoint a couple of blocks away from me in the middle of the day. All right. We got big problems in New York with the governor, with the mayor, with the DA, all not arresting anybody. Okay. And when they do arrest people, they got this this bail thing now where there's no bail, so they let people out the next day, it's nationwide, it's local, it's a problem. There's no more law and order. We need tough good guys. Where are the tough good guys? That's all I keep asking. We need the Democrats to come up with tough good guys, stronger sentences in jail, arresting people who are criminals. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? That's the problem. That's what the approval rating is. That's why the approval rating is in the toilet. Okay. Not just for the economy and everything else. It's because they're weak. They're weak, and America likes strength.
So, and of course, the flip side to this, and I'm talking with Stevie Van Zandt, is, when we talked months ago, you mentioned a similar theme about Biden not being tough. It was right before the Ukraine. It was like 6 months ago, right before Russia invaded Ukraine. You said, well, that's going to happen because they're not afraid of the U.S. And obviously the flip side, though, is you got Donald Trump whining nonstop. I remember in The Sopranos, the FBI raided Tony's house and they took Meadows' computer. They broke Carmela's glasses. You didn't hear them yell to fund the FBI, but you got Donald Trump and the Republicans out there saying, fund the FBI. I mean, so you're doing law and order. You have Republicans saying law and order, unless they're coming for us, then we want to end it. This is unbelievable what we're seeing.
No, the insanity is out of control. They're saying that 87,000 IRS agents. I mean, how do you even say this with a straight face? 87,000 IRS agents are coming to get you with AR-15s in their hands. They're coming to get the small businessmen. I mean, who buys this crap? And they're selling it all over the place like it's a fact. I mean, what can you even say about this insanity? I mean, how can the Democrats lose any elections right now? It's impossible,
But it's not, because as you know, Steve, Republicans will make it about the border, or look at literally McCarthy and Jim Jordan wrote an op-ed for the New York Post saying what they're going to do, top priority, I'm not kidding, investigate Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's ties to whatever. He literally an op-ed. That's what they're running on. And for their base, they go, "Oh, that sounds great."
You saw that poll the other day, which was the biggest concern.
Yeah,
like 30% is the border. The border. I mean, the border. I mean, yeah, we're sure worried about that border in New Jersey. Right. And Iowa and Montana, boy. That border really is a big problem. I mean, it's insane. First of all, I hate to tell everybody this because, the progressives are quite angry about it, but Biden has kept the same border policy as Trump.
Yep.
Nothing's changed. Why don't they say this shit? I mean, they're embarrassed about it. That's why they're not saying anything about it. But the truth is, nothing's changed at the border from Trump. It's the same exact policy. All right. And, and yet it's, the by far, I think like twice any other issue, the border, the border. I mean, yeah, it's a really, big problem in Michigan, huh? That Mexican border. I mean, first of all, everybody coming across that border is working. And well, they about 2 million coming back and forth from the border every single day. They go back and forth, and go to work, and then they go home. But the other 11 million undocumented, whatever you want to call it, immigrants in America, they're not walking the streets. I don't see Mexican homeless guys. They're all working. All right, they're working. Why are they working? Because we need them to work. Which is why the immigration thing needs to get fixed. Give them a path to, citizenship. They're working already. I mean, the border is the biggest problem. Are you kidding me or what? That's the biggest problem in America.
To them it is, though. But that says, like, there was another NBC poll that came out over the weekend. So the number one issue among all Americans is protecting our democracy. But when you break it down by party, it becomes Republicans are like, the border is the number one for them. And it's sort of, it's xenophobic. It's the kind of like, oh, browning of America. There's a lot of stuff going on deeper with them. But, you touched on something, though, earlier I want to get back to. In any other first world nation, would Donald Trump be walking free? The guy attempted a coup. He incited a terrorist attack. DOJ will bend over. Now we're finding out they bent over backwards, not to even search the guy's house. And finally, they searched the house, and they got some good stuff there. But this guy should be under arrest. It's not partisan. He should be under arrest.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, and this goes all the way back to Mueller, which, don't get me started with Mueller, please, but I mean, I had to, I like Jake Tapper a lot. Okay. He's an extremely dignified man with a lot of integrity. I had to let him have it the other day because he's talking to this creep, Dan Crenshaw from Texas, this sneaky, ooh, I hate this guy, and the guy has the balls to say, all they had to do was ask Trump for the documents, and Jay let him go, and I said, what? All they had to do was ask for the documents. What do you think they've been doing for a year and a half? I mean, it's insane. I mean, this kind of weakness, I think, I said it before, and I say it again. I think that's why Putin invaded Ukraine. He's seeing the weakness in our society everywhere you look. Nobody's arresting anybody. The criminals are just running rampant all over the place. And he's like, why shouldn't I invade Ukraine? What are they going to do? They're all pussies, obviously. And by that, I mean pussycats,
Right.
They're all weak. Well, why shouldn't I invade Ukraine? And now, okay, they're trying to pin this, assassination, talk about a movie. I mean, the guy changed his cars at the last minute. Unbelievable. Right. So they hit his daughter instead. And now Putin is saying, it was done by a Ukrainian who escaped to Estonia.
I've seen
now. Yeah, and this is going to be, their excuse now for invading Estonia, who, last time I looked, is part of NATO. No.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see if they make a move on Estonia. Let's see if NATO finally wakes up, which I've been calling for from day one, to go after this bully, this bullshitter, Putin, pretend he's going to destroy the world with nuclear weapons. Get the fuck out of here. All right. This is such bullshit, and everybody buys it. And everybody buys it and sits back and watches him massacre Ukraine. Okay. Because he's going to push the button and destroy the world. I'm like, did you see his yacht? All right. His $750 million yacht and his 10 mansions all over the place. And he's got, Playboy bunnies lined up around the block. He's going to kill himself. He's going to commit suicide. I don't think so. Okay. He's bullshitting everybody. He's a bully. He's a liar, and he's a scammer, and he learned from Trump. Look at what Trump gets away with, he says to himself. If Trump can get away with that, go all the way to the presidency, I can certainly attack Ukraine. Why not? You know, it turns out he was right. We stood back, and all of NATO, all 30 countries, which is so embarrassing, stood there and watched this massacre when they should have went right in and kicked the shit out of this fucking bully. You know.
Well, but the thing is,
now what happens with Estonia? Now will be a good test.
I don't think I agree with you that Putin was not going to use nuclear weapons. He's not suicidal. He's got too much to live for. And look, this is the 6-month anniversary of this war that he thought was going to take 6 days. So NATO supplied aid. We supplied $10 billion. Listening today to Ned Price, the spokesman from the Pentagon, on. But the question was, there going to be an appetite by Americans and troops? There wasn't. The question is, how does that end up? I don't know if it's going to, this will be like Vietnam. It's going to go for years, or like the Soviets.
No. I'm not saying America should have attacked them. I'm saying NATO. Yes, America is part of NATO.
Right.
You can't live by taking polls. Okay, that was the problem with Afghanistan. All right, the biggest mistake Biden ever made in his life. Certainly one of them. Okay, pulling out of Afghanistan when he did, because the polls said, "Do you want to end this forever war?" Well, who's going to answer no to that? You want to end this forever war that's been taking 20 years? Did anybody stop and say, wait a minute, how did we spend $2 trillion and 20 years and we couldn't kill 75,000 Taliban? There's something weird about that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Are we that incompetent? How incompetent can we be, right? But anyway, they had 350,000 troops when Trump surrendered. Let me repeat that. When Trump surrendered to the Taliban, okay, and we could have kept Kabul, we could have kept the airports, maybe another town or two, put up an impenetrable perimeter around those cities, and then saved Afghanistan from what it's going through now, okay? And saved all the progress we made, and justified, not 2 trillion, but certainly justified the deaths of those 2,000 guys who now we cannot justify. Okay, now they go into the column of the 58,000 that died in Vietnam, who died for nothing, for no reason other than government malfeasance, But they could have died for a very good cause if we had kept it, if we kept Kabul, and we could have done that very easily, But he got very bad advice. Biden didn't want to be there in the first place, and it was his little bit of revenge. See, I told you so, But meanwhile, things change, okay, Joe? Things change in 10 years, in 20 years. They change, and that was a huge mistake.
Look, polls back that up. You don't like polls, but that's the truth. People, the images look really bad. The images, the fall of Kabul, America fleeing, and that was a year ago.
Terrible. Last thing in the world you want to do is create another Islamic State. That is the last thing in the world you want to do. And our foreign policy, should be aware of these things. I mean, they should know the end game before they jump in to do anything. First of all,
well, Bush brought us there 20 years ago because he had wanted to do something after 9/11. So look, let's touch on two non-political things before we run out of time. One is, you guys are going back on tour. Bruce Springsteen, the E Street Band. You guys are going out next year, right? Are you looking forward? Are you looking forward to it?
Yes, it's going to be quite a experience. I think, it's been 6 years. It'll be like almost 7 years, which is a long time. So, it's going to be a lot of fun reconnecting with people that we haven't seen. We had a lot of very, very, very rabid fans. And we miss them. They miss us, and we're going to. It's going to be a ball, man. It's going to be great, because I think people are going to be surprised, because I think we're going to be better than ever,
I think so. That'd be great. I look forward, and people are going crazy over when the news came out. I saw it on Twitter and social media and everywhere. By the way, if you play a stadium versus, say, like Madison Square Garden or an arena, when you're on stage, is there a difference to you at all? Does it feel different?
Well, yeah. I mean, through the years, you get used to it. In our case, in the old days, you gradually worked your way up,
Right.
So we always managed to make wherever we're playing into a club, and no matter, even if it's 70,000 in a stadium, we'll take requests from the audience that we've never played before and rehearse right on stage. I mean, we managed to turn stadiums into clubs. And of course, at first, it's wonderful. I mean, people don't understand this, but artists don't choose. They don't choose the venues they play, and artists don't choose the price of the tickets. By the way, okay, right. This is strictly the marketplace. The marketplace decides these things. You don't say, "Oh, one day I'm going to wake up and play Madison Square Garden." No. You play Madison Square Garden because you have to, because the last time you played New York, you did 3 beacons, you did 3 theaters, you know what I mean? Sure. And so now there's no, unless you're going to spend 4 or 5 days in every single town, you got to go to the next size venue. That's how it works, And so, after a while, everything becomes comfortable. You just get comfortable wherever you are, whether it's a stadium or a club. It really doesn't make any difference. The sound you're hearing, if you have a good crew like we do, it doesn't change that much. You have the monitors is what it's all about. You know what I mean? The monitors, which is what you're hearing.
Right.
That shouldn't change that much. Now, if the smaller the place, you get into a club, you're going to hear people. You're going to hear the drums and they're right next to you. You're going to hear the guy playing the guitar right next to you with the bass. Because you're going to hear it right out of the amp. But once you get to even theaters, it starts to become all of that stuff is filtered through the monitors. You're not necessarily hearing the guy on the other side of the stage from his amp. You're hearing his amp through your monitor. So the sound, if the crew is good, doesn't change. Starting from the bigger clubs and theaters all the way to arenas, all the way to stadiums, the sound you're hearing really doesn't change that much. So, and now with the cameras, of course, cameras got popular. I don't know how many years ago now. So that also reduces the problem of bigger places, because you got the cameras showing, close-ups on the big screens, Sure. So even if you're at the top of the stadium, you're seeing a big screen. So, there's been ways of sort of balancing out the size of things to make the experience as rich as intimate as possible.
I think it's great that you turn stadiums into the Stone Pony. Like it's back
exactly.
You're actually just like, what do you want to hear, you guys? No, I just wondered on stage, what's it like? And I think most people wonder what it's like when you're sitting there looking out at a stadium versus the Stone Pony. But you're right, you gradually make it up. It's not like you went from the Stone Pony to Yankee Stadium. It took a process. That would be kind of stunning.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was like, that's one of the reasons why we put off playing the Super Bowl all those years. We were asked to play the Super Bowl many times. We kept turning them down because they wouldn't let the audience come up to the stage back then. Oh. The audience was back in the seats, right? Like a mile away. So now you would go on stage and you're thinking about, you can't really play to those people because they're so far away. So instead, you're playing to the billion people watching on a camera, And the last thing you want to think about on stage is playing to a billion people, right? So we held out until they allowed the audience to come up to the stage. So now we're playing to that same couple thousand people that are up front, just like a normal gig for us, And you don't think about the billion watching, But now you look at the Super Bowl and they make the crowds part of the show now,
Very true. And last thing, I wanted to ask it earlier, but there was a famous line you said in The Sopranos, and it made me think of Trump. And you said, I genuinely don't think there's anything to gain by keeping him around. And, you said in The Sopranos, one of the top 10 lines is Silvio Dante. And when you think about Trump, like, I genuinely don't think there's anything to gain by keeping him around. Objectively, politically, we're talking about they need him for fundraising. But besides that, this guy is a drag on them. What do you think it's going to take for the GOP to finally have the guts? Or is it the base just loves him too much? And it doesn't matter what the elite or the establishment want. Like, he's their guy.
I hope we both live long enough that we wake up one day, turn the TV on, and his name is never mentioned again, okay? I hope we live that long, okay? Because it makes me sick now every day. I mean, it's been this way for years. even the channels we like, MSNBC, is my channel of choice most of the time. Their programming is 100%, explaining his lies all day, explaining why he's lying, explaining how absurd his lies are. That's the programming, all right? Explaining Trump's lies all day long. And I'm like, there's other news going on, believe it or not, first of all. But to answer your question, it's that the ship has sailed, okay? It's not going to change until, and look, I want the Republican Party of my father, my Goldwater Republican father, to return. Not that I agreed with him ever, but it was a legitimate philosophy. It was a legitimate, they had a platform as opposed to the last election,
Right.
where there was no platform, which should tell the working class of the world, exactly what they think of them. There was nothing in their platform. They weren't even pretending to help anybody. So how the working class, in Kentucky and Iowa and the code is, how do they keep voting for these people? I don't get it. But the only way it's going to ever be solved is if every Republican is voted out of office. Okay, that's the only thing. And then they're going to say, okay, let's start all over again. Let's figure this out. Maybe we should be, a little bit more like our grandfather's Republican Party, or the one that was going to be progressive. Remember, and embrace immigrants and people of color.
Right.
After that last time they lost, I forget whether it was Obama or
After Romney, yeah. After Romney.
Yeah. And, so until they're all voted out, literally, until we have literally a 2/3 majority again, in the governors, especially in the state houses, especially, that are not being contested by these lazy bastards who are running the Democratic campaign organizations. Okay. Contest every single district. What's the matter with you? Okay. You're going to win. You're going to win more than you think. Because look at what you're up against. These people are insane, and so the base is not going to change. They're only getting worse. Literally getting worse. It's filtering up now. Now you're seeing congressmen and senators saying insane things all of a sudden. That wasn't always the case. It was usually the fringe, the base people. They were crazy. Now you got Grassley. You got these guys saying. Hawley, all of these people, nutty things, the woman that beat Liz Cheney talking about, Biden being a trafficker of a pedophile trafficker, this is the woman who won, yep. who beat Liz Cheney,
And Trump liked her, and I'm with you. This is, I don't know.
No, it's not going to happen anytime soon, to answer your question. But it's going to keep happening until the Democrats wake up and start fighting, realize it's a war. Okay. It's a war. Jump in, baby, get involved. All right. And you're going to win. You're going to win more often than you think.
I agree with you. You've got to field candidates everywhere. And again, Stevie Van Zandt, the book Unrequited Infatuations, a memoir. We talked about it at length last time you were on. It's coming out in paperback next month. It's a great book, great read about music and life and his work and activism as well. Stevie, it was great chat with you about politics, brother. And keep up the great work with Fetterman and the guy in Kansas and helping Democrats and inspiring Democrats to fight. That's what we need. We need a fighting spirit. We need Democrats to take the fight politically to the GOP. That's how we beat them.
No, that's the thing. We need these guys to win. We need, Val Demings to win in Florida. We need, Mandela Barnes to, be Jim Jordan. These guys, they're close enough to win. All we got to do is focus on it, and put some energy into it, and stop having this defeatist attitude, and we're going to win more often than we think. And let me just say, by the way, in the book, there's no politics. I may be giving the impression that, that's all I'm into. I actually have a political book half written, But no, my book is not. There's 2 pages of politics all the way near the end, just to stimulate some conversation, which I pulled from my political book. But that's it. 2 pages out of 400, whatever it is. So if if you're don't be afraid of the politics. If you're of course if you're watching your
this channel.
show, yeah, if you're watching this channel and your show, you're not afraid of politics. So.
Right. And also a great deal about activism in there, and you spearheading, raising money and having the big event Sun City to fight against apartheid. And, so you've always been an activist. It's not Democrat, Republican. You've been an activist to effectuate change for the better. And that's
No. I've been an independent my whole life, and I've been encouraging people to register as independents since I've started talking to the press in 1982. For 40 years. When I said I was independent, it was probably 1% or 2% of the country identified as independents. Now it's like it's close to half. But this year, we don't need a third party. Andrew Yang, thank you very much. Please stay home. All right, and be as eccentric as you want to be in the privacy of your own home. We don't need independence this year. This year, everybody's got to be a Democrat. Okay, there's too much at stake. Okay, there's too much at stake this year. I don't even believe in the party system. Okay, that's a whole nother conversation. Okay, my first choice is no parties. My second choice is 10 parties. Okay, my third or fourth or fifth choice might be a third party. Usually, in a normal situation, this is not that. Okay, this year everybody must be a Democrat and get rid of these Republicans once and for all. They are killing our country, and I'm telling you right now, our quality of life is just going down the drain because of them.
So you're saying Chrissy Todd Whitman and Andrew Yang are not going to save us? So that's
They are not. They are not. There's a wrong timing.
So, and again, the book is a great book for people. Anyone likes music, you're going to learn so much about the history of music as Stevie shares in Unrequited Infatuation, the memoir. And as we get around the holidays, maybe we'll replay the original interview because that was all about the book, and it's a great book for the holiday season for people. Stevie, thanks so much for spending time, brother. It's great. Another Jersey guy talking about politics and the Sopranos. What more could it be? I was just in Jersey. I love Jersey. I love the bluntness of Jersey. Passive aggressive New Yorkers. I'll take the bluntness of Jersey over passive aggressiveness any day. So thanks, brother. Nice chatting with you.
You got it, Dino.
Take care. Take care, Steve.